Welcome back to the Overwatch League, and a new duo has arrived. A new challenger appears. It's me with Necro this time, myself with Rose. This has never happened before. Our first time on the mic together. Here for Summer Qualifiers East. We just finished watching Guangzhou Charge Seoul Dynasty, which you and Vicky took care of, and I was actually a pretty explosive ending. I was kind of on the edge of my seat there, and I was up secretly praying for the map 5 because I wanted desperately for that fire to work. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, me too. It felt like it came down so close on Esperanza. It really could have gone either way. Looking at the ultimate economy, there were absolutely moments I feel like Guangzhou Charge could have brought it back, but alas, they did not. We now have our contender showdown on land happening as Poker Face make the stage.
I'm used to this one. We saw plenty of the contenders teams in the WDG arena last year for the regular season contenders games, and Poker Face not shy to that arena at all. They do have a new member coming in today to sort of replace the gap left by Finale as he went over towards the Vegas Eternal. So Hidden will be on the roster. Muse in the middle there, by the way, is on 97 map wins. So if he wins the series today versus PANTHERA, he'll officially be on 100 map wins within the Overwatch League, which would be quite exciting.
That would be super exciting, ending up joining the ranks of some of the greatest Overwatch players of all time. But their opponents, PANTHERA, do not want to make that easy. This is a roster that has made some really critical adjustments with RPen coming in to be able to take up that main tank role, as well as even bringing in a Peach to help solidify that backline. RPen's been really showing up.
I haven't seen too much of Peach though, because there's been a lot of development playing the support, and now he seems like the one that's just kind of fit into that role. He's permanently starting on the support line now. A lot of XL talent on both sides, and as far as the, I think, contenders teams goes, especially with the fact that O2 Blast kind of had most of their players picked up across the board for different Overwatch League teams. You look at Poker Face and PANTHERA, they're the two teams in my mind. When you look at the contenders rosters, they just have the widest range of all these ex-Overwatch League players, especially ones that have actually been on the same team previously. But yeah, the matchup today, keyword trump card. It's all about the card games for Poker Face.
Oh my goodness. I feel like Poker Face can find a way back into this season. Like, these teams are still playing for seeding in the East knockouts, and Poker Face, they've had a tough go of things so far in these first few weeks. They had to take some pretty hefty losses, I think, where they were expected, but PANTHERA, like, I just can't wait to see these XOwl talent like actually match up against each other. Do they get the Royal Flush today? Maybe Poker Face can do it.
Maybe a 3-0 would be the surely the Poker. That would be Poker Face getting the Royal Flush for sure. 3-0, super clean sweep. Might be difficult though. Poker Face have had a rougher time in the season so far. Poker Face's record stands at 1-5. PANTHERA stands at 2-4. And you know, in terms of who the teams have been able to beat, Poker Face has beaten Dreamers, but unfortunately they've lost to everybody else. So 0-3 versus Dallas, 1-3 versus Infernal, 0-3 versus Dynasty just recently, 0-3 versus Spark. So outside of beating Dreamers, they've taken, they took a map off Shanghai as well, but lost that series. They haven't done super well. They've just taken 2 maps off the actual Overwatch League teams.
That Dreamers win surprised me, just because of how much some of these other Overwatch League teams were talking up Dreamers as a strong contender, and maybe even the strongest contenders team heading into this stage that they were afraid of facing. So it felt like such a great win for Poker Face, but the momentum to be able to capitalize on that just wasn't there. And you talked about the hole that Finale going to the Vegas Eternal left on this team. Hopefully Hidden can get something done to be able to bring it back.
Hidden wasn't not much of a memory. He didn't play a ton of Tracer. It was mainly a pure hit scan play, closer to what you'd expect out of a play like EasyHan. But given this kind of lineup here, I don't think he's going to be on that role. He's probably going to be playing Sombra here. Valentine staying in as the flex DPS. We'll be swapping between the Tracer and whatever projectile flex DPS picks you'd normally see out of Valentine. So that makes a lot more sense. And yeah, I think the Victoria Valentine sort of situation wasn't looking super positive for Poker Face. So see how that changes things up. Hidden in the past, I think, has been a pretty decent player. So now he'll get to finally, I think this will be his first game in sort of an Overwatch League setting as well, which is quite exciting. On the other side, we have PANTHERA, who have a slightly better record, as I mentioned. They are, I think, what is it, 2-4 so far. And one of the more exciting games that they had was they beat the Guangzhou Charge 3-2. And that was in week 2. And that was one of the first, I think, major losses for the Guangzhou Charge. And because it was early enough, I think it's possible that Choi might have still been in the team at that time. I'm struggling to remember.
Yes, yeah, he was. That was when they had just brought Gaga into the roster to be able to replace Piggy. And that was also when PANTHERA had just brought in Arpen as well to be able to take up that main tank helm, which honestly paid off. PANTHERA looked so good with Arpen and the Peach, with that synergy that they had built up in their time in contenders together. And Arpen still slotting into the roster in an amazing way.
I mean, what a meta, because Arpen previously, when he played for T1, I, almost critically said that this guy's kind of like a Winston one trick, but in this particular meta, that's realistically all you do have to play outside of maybe a couple maps where you might have to consider swapping, but it is the right meta for a player like Arpen to come through. I believe they previously had Jasmine, which was a bit more of a struggle for this particular meta, because you do need a strong Winston player. Muse is going to bring that to the table. You need whoever's facing up against Muse to be able to do the same thing. Yeah, I mean, on paper, I would have said that Pokerface have the stronger team, but I don't think it's clear at the moment if that's reality or not, because PANTHERA, generally speaking, have had the better results so far this year. Becky, I think, being a big part of that one. A previous player of the LA Valiant, Tracer, Echo, two very important heroes for this meta that Becky has been piloting.
Becky's Tracer has been so on point. I think that's one of the reasons, too, why Pokerface was also at a pain point after losing Finale. Like, Victoria and Valentine in the roster, they were constantly flexing between who was playing the Tracer in any given composition, and Tracer is such a momentum-based hero. Like, you gotta get warm with it. You gotta maintain the precision, the accuracy, the tracking. And when Becky's able to focus so much on playing the Tracer, you get to put up numbers like this.
I think the PANTHERA DPS line is what really impressed me. Nice Becky as a duo is just so clean. And that's definitely where the strength of this roster, in my opinion, truly does lie. When you look at the other side, when they had Finale and Pokerface, that was also a very, very dominant kind of DPS line as well. It was maybe a little bit more interesting because Finale was a Tracer player, and now you're going to see more Valentine on that Tracer instead. Across the board, though, I still probably prefer the support line on the Pokerface side. Muse is a little bit more flexibility than Arpen coming on in. But on a Raw Winston matchup, should be fairly even, actually. PANTHERA have had the better record so far in this particular stage. Pokerface have struggled a lot more. Even that Dreamers win, you could have said that, I don't know, that might have been an off performance for Dreamers, because Dreamers are 3-3. Dreamers still, I think, living up to the potential that people were saying that they have. That Leaf said this is probably the best of the contenders teams, and record-wise, that stands to be true in 3-3. One of the only losses that Dreamers have had in that 3-3 was strangely versus Pokerface, which has also been Pokerface's only win.
Yeah, I mean, Dreamers, like, coming off kind of hot after the East knockouts as well, where they got so close to even making the mid-season. And so when you take a look at how few roster changes they ended up making into the summer stage, I think that's also where that loss surprised me. More so, though, because Pokerface, they did show us such a strong look against a team that is also considered to be pretty strong. So what do you kind of make of the map pool as we take a look at Pokerface and PANTHERA kicking things off on Busan?
No circuit, which means Arpen and Muse both happy, in my opinion. no Sigma played required, or
no, you don't want to see the dive on the circuit?
Well, I think it's becoming more popular, not because it's actually the best, but because out of necessity, probably. That being said, I think we saw a decent amount of it in NA as well. Like, I remember the it was a Boston versus another good team. Might have been Boston, Houston, something like that, and they ended up on some sort of like Junker Queen mirror eventually. I'm just like, how did we get here? Like, what is going on? Like, everyone just moved away from any of the standard stuff on circuit. But yeah, none of that today. Dorados are going to be a pretty standard Winston map. Probably just standard across the board.
Oh, I love getting a chance to hear the crowd root for
both. There we go.
Our contenders teams. Yeah, I love it. You love to hear it, you love to see it, and you also love to see the dive. We're gonna see the echo from Becky and Valentine as the gates open up.
Okay. Echo's interesting. So both teams have decided not to go through for the Sombra here. As the meta does develop, I think both Becky and Valentine like that, though. They really want to be playing a lot of this Echo as much as they can. Becky with the first blood onto Muse, huge play to take down early. We talked about the fact that I haven't seen a ton of hidden on Tracer in the past, but he'll have to play it when Valentine wants to go Echo.
Yeah, I mean, the Tracer here, you need to be able to follow up with any of the focus beam targets, even just when you go to Sticky. It really helps you to have the Winston and the Tracer to be able to follow up on that low health target. But as PANTHERA take control of this point first, wow, okay, like, I guess they're just going to keep it.
Develop just gets a solo kill. Yep, there's the practice on the Ana coming on through. Develop at this stage, I think is... I don't know if he's made a permanent swap over to the Ana to this flex support, but he's looking better and better, more clean every single time. A little bit of that DPS hit scan aim to service that kill into simple. And it's 2-0 in terms of frags so far. Pokerface continually losing a single member at the start of fights, and that kill also allows Develop to get this nano boost online.
That is something that Pokerface have had trouble overcoming, is someone gets out of position or it gets taken advantage of, and all of a sudden, look at how far back they're getting pushed to with the Echo. They're so spread up.
Gets the kill late. That's not bad. Who's low as well? No trade coming through. Valentine tried for it about up and gets away in time, and both of our Princes are going to live through this ordeal, but Pokerface still at 4. As I mentioned, they spent ultimates here as well. Popping onto Valentine for the Tracer. Becky still holding. Couple DPS ultimates online for PANTHERA. Harpin slightly closer to the Primal Rage as well. Slade much closer in terms of the rally. And, well, now the rally's been taken up the table for Aiden. Support's down for Pokerface. That's going to be fight over PANTHERA, leading by a lot. Oh, hang on, Valentine?
Oh, big pop-off moment there. Was having a little bit of trouble working up to the Pulse Bomb because he was shooting into Slay's shield, but that 2K is also not going to be enough to get Pokerface control of this point. And now we're entering into last fight territory where PANTHERA have the rally and the Primal online.
It's a scary moment though. Valentine getting the double could have opened up the ability for Pokerface to maybe buy back into that fight and use still had Primal. 2 versus 3 though. Held on to it. Went for the last fight here. Valentine swapping over towards the Sombra. So they swap roles. Normally you see hidden on the Sombra, Valentine the Tracer, but they have to just play out what they can at the moment. Big sleep onto Muse. Big rally still available for Aiden to play through. Pokerface still have staying power here, but they need kills. They need some damage. Force out Harpin's Primal as well. That means step number 1 for Pokerface to start getting some work done. And swap onto Valentine's Sombra allows Becky to go down here. But Develop to follow. 5v3 should be a cleanup.
Really nice solo pick onto Becky there for Valentine to start opening things up for the rest of Pokerface. The PANTHERA, despite the fact that they used both of their sustainability ults, get a chance to get some firepower back in the bank. With Nice actually working up to the Pulse Bomb and Develop having the Nano online too, you can only expect that to bolster up Becky on the Echo.
Really fast EMP charge here, so Valentine did a ton of damage, including getting that opening kill that allows Pokerface to start snowballing. An EMP required for this 0-99 comeback. Need a lot of winning fights in a row here for Pokerface where they can just roll that snowball, get more ultimates. So see where that gets placed. He's got it basically at this rate.
Oh, okay. Well, it's going to be the nano boost onto Aiden. Try to keep him alive as Valentine gets into a position to use his EMP. Doesn't need it right now as the PANTHERA is going to back off the point. Gives his space over, but here's the signal.
Up and instantly deleted. The nano's gone, so it's not going to really do too much for PANTHERA at this stage. Nanos are going to be expended already into this plate. Pokerface holding for the time being. They should be able to hold for a little bit longer. Becky hacked out and dead. No duplicate. Only 5% back cap coming on through, though. PANTHERA steal the cap away. That's actually going to be slightly problematic for Pokerface because they need to rush towards the 99. And I mean, I'd say that's like, what, 5 to 10% they miss out on briefly.
That is a lot. That would have been last fight territory doing the math. And Pokerface don't have a whole lot in the bank, so at least now they get a little bit of time to be able to work up to some of those ultimates. But PANTHERA can already hit him where it hurts. If they're able to initiate this dive quickly, then Pokerface won't have a chance to actually get anything online to respond to that. And with Becky having the duplicate online, go aggressive.
And both teams are going to have plenty of DPS ultimates, or just ultimates in general here.
Oh, here they come.
Need as well. We got Nano onto Aiden. Save the backline. Simple's going to die here, so Aiden needs to do a lot of carrying in terms of getting this rally out. But it is a 4v5 RPN. Primal's just before death, and there's a chance for Pokerface. They need to get some frags before the PANTHERA supports get their ultimates as well. Becky even gets a duplicate. Nano on board. Lasts about a second. Muse doesn't get the Primal. I think he got stunned there. He gets stunned by Slay's shield, and that's critical.
That was the shield bash into the whip shot to take out Muse before the Primal could come online. Hidden tries his best to be able to get PokerFace back into this matchup as Aiden switches over to the Kiriko to swift step over to the point, but it's not enough. That's going to be a shutout here as PANTHERA take the first round of Busan.
Wow. Oh, they tried. Hidden did get the pulse bomb, but had it run straight back into him. I think the Primal, the lack there of a Primal onto Muse was definitely a clear issue. Unfortunately, just dies to the stun whip shot combo. And Slayer doesn't end there either. Gets stuck with the pulse bomb and just runs it straight back into Hidden. So, two really important kills. As we see a little bit earlier on, this was the sort of Valentine nearly clutch moment. And as I mentioned, it was a 2 versus 3, no supports. Muse probably thought about maybe popping the Primal there, decides not to. Fair enough decision to make. It was a nice attempt at a comeback, but man, just kind of flubbed it on the final fight.
Arpen was waiting in the wings though too. You saw him play so patiently for Muse to walk into his loving arms. As we're getting even a different look from these dive compositions, heading over to Sanctuary. We've got the Sombra Tracer right off the rip here for both of our teams, and now you get a chance to see Hidden on the Sombra and Valentine back on the Tracer.
Oh, it's an instant frag already for PANTHERA. It's just like what we saw on Downtown. And it doesn't end there. Muse down. Also, was Muse actually first death on our previous round? PokerFace would be happy to not lose any further members here, but looking like another early cap for PANTHERA.
Even though Arpen does get bionated, he's able to get out of dodge quickly enough that Develop gets to farm up so much ultimate charge. He's being able to get that raw healing into each member of the team as PokerFace start to make their way back into the point.
The teams, an early bionate on their Winstons, but as we talked about the cap, it hasn't been capped just yet. PANTHERA have finally managed to get it. PokerFace at 5 alive, they didn't quite stop the cap from coming in. So you'd argue that PANTHERA certainly had some space to play with in terms of more. Develop, first nano on board, slightly ahead of Simple rather. Should be coming on through, although will they need it with the 1 frag? 5 versus 4 now. Another early pick is Becky for 2.
Becky getting those 2 picks is going to allow PANTHERA to just hold on to all their ultimates, but look at this, Valentine actually going to be clapping back immediately. So Develop goes down with the nano boost, and Slade gets forced to pop the rally here for PANTHERA to take back control. Doesn't matter though, Valentine's able to get these picks.
Valentine had some clutch moments on Downtown, now that's coming through with the rest of the team being alive as well. Or respawning. So the cap is there now, Develop. And end up using the nano, so they tried to hold on to it with the rally, which I think is commendable. PANTHERA clearly just did not expect that Valentine and the rest of PokerFace is going to be able to come back like that. They still have more ultimates on the PANTHERA side by a reasonable margin, especially given how far behind Muse is now compared to Arpen. The double EMPs, nice thinking about going for the solo, potentially onto Simple.
Okay, well, it's going to be Hidden that pulls the trigger first as Arpen goes down with the Primal active. A nice hack into the EMP as Hidden now just being able to let that rip allows PokerFace to maintain control as Valentine hunts down Becky, forcing him away and gets isolated as you see Muse try to go in for the follow-up.
I don't know where Develop was though. He could have probably nanoed Arpen to save the life of the Winston player. Speaking of Winstons, that's what I'm talking about right now. It's nice goes for the solo EMP. The Muse instantly saved by the nano. Now Muse stays in the play. PokerFace is shredding. And it's PANTHERA that just can't get any more done up and won't even use the Primal here. Too many players on his team dead, and this is the difference I'm talking about. You want to solo EMP the Winstons, you have to consider the nano availability there to save the Winston player.
Develop must have gotten isolated by Valentine or Hidden in that scenario so that the nano boost could not have come online. Otherwise, that should have been that quick reaction time as you mentioned. But at the very least, I guess Develop has the nano boost online now. Arpen is once again public enemy number 1 as Hidden does land the hack onto that Winston. Now he's a bit of a sitting duck as a Bionate comes through from Develop, tries to open up the fight. Doesn't hit anybody though for PANTHERA to jump on.
I certainly know that Arpen does have a Primal available. It's going to be a break-for-break trade here, but still a nano on board for Develop. If they're lucky, they won't have to use this double supports down for PokerFace. It means the staying power of PokerFace is pretty slim at this point in time. Muse is too far away from Primal to do too much more. I think that if there was a little bit closer to the Primal, there's a possible usage there to try and push PokerFace to the 99, but we'll take away the 93 and be happy with that.
Be happy too when Muse has the Primal Rage of coming up online too. A great way to be able to juggle somebody into Hidden or Valentine. make it super easy. Look at Hidden too. Actually, has found the translocator from Nice, so that's gonna be a really nice way to take that get out of dodge button from Nice out of his pocket.
Nice. Just reveals himself as that happens as well. Starts shooting, or maybe he got spotted a little bit early, but in any case, he is going to get confirmed. Nowhere to get out of that play. Develop to follow through, and Pokerface, remember, they're on 93 here, so one clean fight win. Just looking to be this particular fight right now. They're going to get themselves straight back into Busan and force us over towards the mecha base. Arpen and Slay going to try and keep it in there for PANTHERA. They might be able to successfully do so. Slay goes down, and now you have the question of Develops close enough to get some healing in there, because the point flip is active, and who's going to go for the touch here?
Okay, well,
Becky.
Yeah, Becky's going to be able to hit the overtime, but Nice has to work up to this EMP quickly. It's online, but can there be any follow-up as Becky hits the pulse, not able to land the mark, and Eight's going to hit the rally. Oh, I don't think there's much.
Tara can't keep up.
Oh boy. We've got a tied up Busan on our hands right now as we have to pause.
And I'm pretty sure Hidden even whiffed an EMP there. But it didn't end up mattering. They had full point control. Nice drops, I think, a 3-man EMP. PANTHERA couldn't quite get enough frags. Pokerface had some decent frags as we headed into that recap at the 93. And just being at 93, final 7%, allows PANTHERA to get a bit of a touch in there, but not enough to, unfortunately, get any reasonable plays. And here we go on towards round 3. I think we were feeling this coming, though, because I was looking at Downtown. The 0-99 comeback was already looking fairly convincing for Pokerface. They just kind of whiffed on the final fight. If it wasn't for that, there's a real chance that Pokerface could have also have won that first round of Downtown as well and gotten that 0-99 comeback. And, well, given they played so well there to almost make that happen, it's not a surprise that we go to a round 3 here.
Absolutely. I was gonna bring up that Hidden, while we don't have a huge sample size as this is their first Overwatch League match, has already impressed me. Whether it was the Tracer or the Sombra, it feels like Hidden has a really great read on how to be able to work with the rest of the team. Even just looking at the Translocator pick that they were able to get to break Nice's get out of jail free card. That was a great setup and something that Pokerface were set up and prepared to be able to accomplish.
Some good flexibility being shown here as well, I think, in terms of, you know, when you need to have Valentine go over towards the Echo, Hidden has to be able to step up on that Tracer. Super important. And Valentine's also played both roles for this team. I mean, when Finale was still on the roster, Finale was kind of primarily the Tracer play. It's really Finale's signature look, and mostly they had Valentine and Finale, and they didn't play that much Victoria even at that time, and Valentine was kind of filling in for the Sombra, even though he's a flex DPS player. So we had that. I mean, it was actually an interesting situation because Finale also played a few flex DPS picks himself, so maybe Valentine is just a super flexible player on the team that can go both roles.
It still wasn't convincing for me. Like, even when it was Valentine and Victoria, two players that have previous history together, it just felt so lackluster watching them switch back and forth between who is playing the Tracer, never really seeming like either one of them was able to get into a groove. As we are going to try to load back into Mecha Base, another pause coming through. There was a tech issue that needed to be resolved for one of our players, but...
Still hidden, I think.
Yeah, it does look like they want to lean more into the Summer Tracer, though, on both sides.
Probably not a surprise, I think, when you look over. I mean, the only real other option for, like, a Mecha Base is, you know, playing a little bit of Ryan, bit of Ram, into the Brawl, get the Mei going. But if you're not going to do that, you're going to lean into Winston Tracer stuff, so definitely no Echo for this map. That's for sure.
I would not want to see the Echo come out on this map. Like, because where do you hide? That skybox is so low, and the walls are not that high either.
I don't think we've seen too much out of these teams on the Brawl. I think Muse has probably played a little bit more. But I think when your DPS are very good on the Tracer Sombra type of look, especially when it comes to APAC Tracers, that's going to be the look we're looking forward to. Hidden has some sort of sound issue as far as we are aware, so that's currently what is being solved.
He also got DC'd, so they're just going to restart the client and also the PC, make sure everybody
Could be a full PC restart, yeah.
Feeling good, yeah.
So Hidden was previously playing for this team called NT. And funnily enough, before that, he was also on PANTHERA. So he's been on PANTHERA before as well. He was an NT playing in the Owl Open to try and qualify into the knockouts coming up a little bit later on, that these teams that we're currently watching will also be in as well. And that was the #1 seed from Korea going into the Owl Open, and they played like a sort of gauntlet style situation, 2 brackets, actually kind of like what we had in the Spring Stage knockouts, and had all the teams across APAC and Australia and Korea and all of that, you know, the best teams from Thailand, Japan, whatever. And NT actually lost. NT is the team that had Maka, who the Florida Mayhem signed as a quote-unquote pre-order for next year. And that team ended up losing to the Australian team. So that's the team that Hidden came from. But NT was a pretty hyped up team. They were looking pretty good until they lost. And now everyone became a free agent of those guys. Maka got signed, obviously, to Florida. Hidden's here now. And Lego as well just got signed to O2 Blast. So a few members from that squad are now on different rosters across both NA and APAC.
And Arpen was on NT and moved to PANTHERA. So maybe a little bit of a history there, maybe something that Hidden is able to pick up in terms of the tendencies that Arpen used to have playing on a team together. I can't help but wonder if that's something that could play a role in Hidden's ability to kind of keep hunting down Arpen and landing those hacks. Arpen has been the primary target for that.
I mean, I think a lot of players have certainly been on the same teams before. They've all shifted around different sort of teams and played with each other in the past. I mean, there's a lot of history on PokerFace itself in terms of the fact that, like, it's essentially, especially when Finale was there as well, it was a Boston Academy reunion. So they had that going for them, which really you'd expect a bit more out of PokerFace, given that it's a sort of old reunion of players that are very familiar with each other. But maybe this is PokerFace's time to make the bounce back happen, as both teams slightly lower in the standings and needing a bit of a boost here.
It also just lets your players look good. I feel like a whole part of being able to meld together Overwatch League teams and these strong contenders teams is to provide them with a platform to showcase what they've got as potential players to get picked up for next season. We already had to see so many roster rebuilds for the contenders teams that are even competing in the summer stage because of how good they looked at the East knockouts, East opens, just overall tons of players. Like, that's why O2 Blast had to get picked apart.
For sure, yeah. And O2 Blast right now are actually the bottom of the standings. They were like the most picked apart team out of all the teams that got picked apart. So they are still trying to make the bounce back happen. But O2 actually signed a couple players recently, as I mentioned, Lego, but also Lee Soo-min. So their entire support line has been reinvigorated. They went from Search Karo to Lee Soo-min Lego, which I think both Lee Soo-min and Lego will be starting players now. Lee Soo-min himself has been across a couple teams, obviously most recently in Seoul Dynasty, but Simpriza before that, who was another top contender in Contenders Korea. So I'll see what happens with that. Currently testing out some firing range, I believe, for Hidden to see if everything is working. Just like, a bit of LAN stuff, you know? The classic LAN issues happens.
True. You gotta make sure that the white noise is coming through as well. But also, sometimes those white noise headphones don't drown out the sounds of the crowds cheering for the teams. And I wonder if there's any LAN jitters that also can happen for any of these players if they're performing on LAN for some of the first times. But looks like final checks are coming through, just making sure that Hidden is comfortable with the setup to be able to play out this last round. Because, as you mentioned, Avril, downtown, super close. Hit PokerFace almost got the comeback there, and then to be able to take Sanctuary pretty convincingly, I can only imagine something similar as Mecha Base. Both of these teams were hovering over the Sombra Tracer Winston dive again.
Yeah, and as far as LAN goes, I mean, I think everyone has had some good LAN experience here. Contenders Korea is typically played on LAN, so no one's unfamiliar in that regard. And as we start heading in, it's actually going to be a bit of a last-minute change up here. Mew's going over towards the Ram, so PokerFace are going to, in fact, lock in that brawl composition. So I was thinking, you know, between these two teams, have seen a little bit more out of Muse and PokerFace. That's going to come true again for PokerFace going to Mecha Base.
You know I'm not going
I
to
like
blame
this look from them just to see if they can get another upper hand on PANTHERA. Even though the mirror looked really good when we were over on Sanctuary, there's a lot that the Ramatra provides, being able to brawl out on this top point. They don't have the Lucio to be able to get that speed and be able to make those rotations quickly. That's why you see the symmetric teleporter to allow them to take this mid ground away from PANTHERA already, as Arpen's going to posture for position to jump in.
I think it's still good supports to be able to, okay, well, not good enough to keep Hidden alive because of a nice long-range Barney. Develop had that angle lined up. Super off angle as well. Far away, good angle to heal up Arpen, but specifically to splash a Baronade. Second one coming through now. This one doesn't connect, but they're largely still ahead. They need to convert a couple more kills if they want to get that first cap again, which they've largely been able to do over the course of this map so far. Have to confirm that 5v4. They had a 5v4 and now it's back to 5v5.
Muse is already going to touch the point to try to stop the progress of PANTHERA, being able to get that first capture. And I smell a different fate here for Poker Face. But Becky with a nice angle and Develop, unfortunately not able to pick up Arpen. It's going to be an even 4v4 across the board as reinforcements have to come back.
I think Develop whipped his nade there. He might have clipped the top of the rail. He was trying to throw it onto Arpen, but I saw that he actually popped it instead. Arpen unfortunately will go down there. Develop is doing a great job of keeping the team alive up until that point, but maybe it will still work out for PANTHERA. Given that Nice has got that open kill onto Eden. Also misses from Becky, but still low HP on the Poker Face side. Now the first Nano coming through. Development leading Simple the Nano charge race for, I think, all 3 rounds in a row here. With Simple dead, it's just not going to be a Nano on life for Poker Face at all. Valentine will try once again to try and clutch this fight, but it's not going to happen 3 times in a row.
Develop has been able to take such safe angles to stay alive and make sure that that nano boost charge is coming through, and to be able to have that online so quickly. I mean, yeah, Poker Face, they were able to sneak the point away from PANTHERA's noses, but that was 32%. PANTHERA already going to start matching that fairly quickly. But Annihilation coming through from Muse, that is a way that they could change up this fight.
I think they'd like to have Nano Annihilation as a combo, though. That would certainly be able to have the firepower to get rid of PANTHERA. If they can get this combo up before Slay can counter with a rally, or at least soft counter with a rally, that would be ideal. Speaking of rallies, Aiden popping first. Can Poker Face do much with a nice nade? The Develop has been so clean with these so far. Faster on the nano boost, better on the nades. Great pocketing onto Arpen, who now primals through. It's time for Poker Face to respond. Still waiting.
Well, Muse is awake now, able to use the Annihilation, as Simple's gonna go ahead and pop the nano over to Hidden. Able to boost up some of those Storm Arrows, just any of that damage to help break this Winston bubble and open up Poker Face to be able to get this brawl right into its face. As Simple gonna take out the backline for PANTHERA, leaves them very vulnerable for this front line to contest the point, as Arpen is so low and has to get pushed back.
Nice dying there was part of the issue. No EMP coming through, caught by Aiden and just slapped down with the whip shots. So PANTHERA losing that player, going 4v5. Couldn't kill Hidden. We've got the nano there. Muse just rolls forward with the Annihilation. Even without the nano, still really strong. Develop nearly had a second nano though. That would have been, he would have been full 1 nano ahead of Simple at this stage. With a pulse bomb kill onto Becky, one of those rare tracer pulse bomb kills, and the one that Zest likes to go on all the time when he's playing. But here, that'll just slow down PANTHERA and will stop them for a little bit of time as Poker Face take the lead now.
Definitely a rare sight to see the pulse bomb, but the EMP is good from Nice, but no follow-up as Poker Face are able to stay alive, and maybe with enough sustain for Aiden to get this rally online as Muse takes a nap. Rally to save him. Hidden gets taken down as Becky is able to find the Hanzo, so not any more opportunities to break this Winston bubble nearly as cleanly, as it's now turned for Becky to try to land this pulse bomb too. But you get a whole chance to hold on to it. Maybe have to send it down. Muse is already able to take down Nice again.
They just can't get more kills. They try to chase into the Poker Face spawn. They actually got the cap already. It's going to be short-lived though, as the cap is going to flip at any moment now. Poker Face staying alive, and they're losing plentiful plays. Develop got taken down quite early as well, and Arpen, another situation where it's like, well, you can't really primal here anymore. The team's fallen aside. And as we head into final fight territory for Poker Face, look at the ults coming online. They have 3 big ultimates. Another opportunity going for Nano Annihilation. This time, I don't think you really need to give it to anybody else outside of maybe Aiden in trouble. So just Nano straight onto Muse for the Annihilation is going to be a big enough combo to make it an issue for the PANTHERA.
Yeah, Simple's gonna pop the nano boost right away as that comes online, as Arpen is able to get the Goomba Stomp to take that Ana out in such a primary source of healing. Muse has the Annihilation, Arpen is hacked, can't pop the primal, that leaves him vulnerable to these punches, and yeah, he's just dead. PokerFace walk away with 99%. PANTHERA, wow, great stuff from them to bring this into final fight. How did PokerFace get back in on this?
I mean, a lot of tankiness there for Muse. He swaps over to the Junkie Queen. Less tankiness, but a little bit more speed maybe. He wants to get back in. He wants to be the brawl out Arpen. Using Aiden is a huge problem. The primal is slowing down PokerFace's ability to go for this touch. Hidden though, as a Summer play, it's going to make it around the back end. Valentine for the next touch. Instantly dies, just gets destroyed. I don't even know if it develops nade hit, but it doesn't matter because the play is gone. There's very little firepower left now. One commanding shout to add a little bit of green HP, but can they get kills? PokerFace are just sitting on the same 4 members. Valentine's on OT respawns. Big EMP catches 3, and one of them will go down now in the form of Aiden. EMP from Hidden's available. Instantly use it. Get a couple of kills, and maybe that will be enough for PokerFace to try and turn it back on. They'll at least get the cap.
Looks like it's going to be good. The 99%.
Wow.
The overtime expires so quickly, and the sustain from Muse's Junker Queen was enough for PokerFace to be able to get over the line. But Avril, I don't think they were expecting that at all, and this has been such a close first map in this series.
Yeah, it's been neck and neck, really. We even saw it from the first round of 0-99 start and nearly a comeback there as well. But the swap onto the Jungle Queen, I wasn't sure that was going to work because you get this primal rage from Arpen, making sure that no one was going to touch, but you can't stop the Sombra, who's all the way around the back, already in the invis, gets the touch, enables it. Valentine dies for the secondary touch, and in a 4v5, PokerFace hold on. A commanding shout to give some extra HP. It seems to be enough to allow Hidden to find the final EMP that wins them the map, and PokerFace will take it over 1-0 so far in the series. We'll find out if this continues right after the break. Welcome back to the Overwatch League here. Map number 2 about to come on. It's going to be Midtown. PokerFace currently leading series 1-0, but it was a close affair in Busan.
That was a nail biter for sure. I didn't think that we were going to end up seeing PokerFace walk away with that round win, but the Junker Queen was exactly what the doctor had called for. Just stem the bleeding and the pressure. PANTHERA was putting down so many excellent bio nades as well. Avril, you called out develops mechanical skill that may help to be able to bolster up that Ana effectiveness, but it was like nade after nade. You need like a geometry degree to be able to land some of that stuff.
He had the protractor out. He had the angles worked out. He knew exactly how to throw them. And the long range worked out as well. I mean, he rolled out solo across the map, basically. Maybe a little surprising he wasn't under any pressure. You're in a Summer Tracer meta, and I think one of those players can sort of run up on you at any time. But he was left to his own devices long range and did a lot there. So developers across, well, that's not just mecha based. So I think in all 3 rounds, developers were really good on the Ana. So as player role swapping onto flex support from the EPS, it's been pretty good so far, and everything the same for both teams. I don't believe we have any subs.
Nope, it's going to be Hidden and Valentine picking up for the DPS duo on PokerFace once again, and that was a duo that incredibly impressed me on that very first map of Busan. You know, this is Hidden's debut as his first match in the Overwatch League, and the Hanzo, the Sombra, the Tracer. That was a lot of different looks we ended up getting a chance to see, and some very close rounds. So super effective DPS there.
See if both teams are going to run the same again here, because there's an opportunity to maybe go towards a brawl type composition again for Midtown, but maybe less likely. I think Midtown, generally speaking, we've just seen Winston across the board, and that will be true for Dorado as well, and probably Colosseo. So I think this game has the capability to go to at least 4, if not 5. It looks like a close enough matchup between the 2 teams that will, if they deliver us a not 3-0 victory, but I'm sure PokerFace would like a 3-0 victory, because, you know, they're the ones falling behind at the moment, and they need some wins.
Yeah, News with that win on Busan is now only 2 map wins away from hitting the big 100. So maybe Midtown is going to be another one to be able to add to the count and bring them one step closer to actually getting a good win.
And it's something to pause. It'll be Muse this time.
Oh no. I hate that that was how it lined up too, with the cheers coming through from the crowd, and then all of a sudden the pause comes through. I promise they weren't cheering for the pause. Yeah.
It's whatever's happening. It's on the PokerFace side that they're having some issues. But we did get a minor glimpse of the comps there, as you'd expect, as standard. No one's going to try anything weird here. And, yeah, whatever's going on, they'll fix it on, they'll fix it on that PokerFace end.
Looks like a periphery input issue now coming through from one of the backline members, and as it's Aiden, want to make sure that you're able to get those quick reaction times with the brig. That would be very bad if you
check all the connections.
Yeah. Oh man, I like Brig is so important in this meta, and it's actually a hero that I feel like had a lot of trouble standing out in Overwatch 2 last season, but now when it comes down to being able to play the dives and the dive mirrors, especially against double flanker, that Brig is so important, not only just to protect your Ana, but to also make sure that you can boop a hack away or the Sombra away from your Winston if they get caught by the hack.
The rally buff that we had sometime this year, I forget when that happened, was also a pretty big one to make Brig extremely durable during that rally. But it's a reason why I wanted to talk about it a little bit earlier before Develop hit his sick Bionade on Mecha Base, was that even on the Ram composition, when Muse brings out the Ram, PokerFace still want to stay on the Brig Ana. It's not necessarily for the benefit of their Ram or their rest of the composition, but you want to stay on that to kind of make life more difficult for RPM playing the Winston, given the fact that PANTHERA is still running standard meta composition, Tracer Sombra, you need Brig Ana for that as well. Ana is still just super strong for dealing with all of those heroes. Nano onto your own Ram is super, really, really powerful as well. And Brig to deal with the Sombra on the opposite end, so yeah, stay on it no matter what at this stage, but we're back at the game. All problems fixed.
Got Aiden loading in without any problems, as Hidden is not so hidden anymore, Was trying to get a little bit of EMP charge as PANTHERA rolled out of the spawn room doors. But it is exactly as you called it, and exactly as we're foretold. Sombra Tracer, Winston dive on both sides. Nice hack onto Simple. It's not going to open up the doors too much, though, for this jump, as Arpen is also going to get hacked in return.
A little bit of a delayed jump there coming up through. We saw the hack come through first, and a good second for Simple to react before Arpen can come in, and now Arpen on the way out is going to get taken down. So first blood found instantly and tons of damage. Hidden and Valentine doing the bulk of that. Vicky is also going to follow with a late death. It's going to hurt a little bit more. Great sleep coming through from Simple to deliver that. As it's time that's a factor. His first 50 seconds gone, 2 deaths, and Hidden and Valentine both well ahead of their counterparts.
It's tough when PANTHERA are trying to initiate the dives on the attack, and PokerFace are playing so spread apart that it's tough for PANTHERA to actually approach them without investing all of these cooldowns, and Arpen is just standing there allowing Hidden to hack him before he's able to jump in.
He's able to jump in eventually. The rest of PANTHERA is now fully rotated into the firehouse from the side. For the most part, I can't see anyone lagging behind, so I'll assume that they're all there together. Brilliant second half down. He's already on half HP. And Valentine with the, as aforementioned, super fast charge on the Tracer Pulse Bomb earlier. Got to deliver that and now put PANTHERA in a weird spot.
I mean, Valentine's been so sick with these pulse bombs. You gotta keep showing up in a big way in order for PokerFace to start kind of keeping PANTHERA off of this point. It's been great job so far. 2 minutes now, whittled away from the clock, but Hidden can just keep up the pressure with the EMP landing onto Arpen, and PANTHERA have to scatter here even after Becky had invested the pulse bomb.
3 fights, 3 deaths, unfortunately. Same target every time, but they'll get him every time. It's pretty easy. Pulse bomb to take down Arpen previously, and Hidden, who also had very advanced charge in the EMP. Given he's also playing defensive Sombra, I think that's a bit of an advantage, but solo EMP on Arpen, I don't think Develop might have had the nano in time there. Probably would have been more risky for Hidden to play if Develop did have the nano available.
Oh, Muse is asleep. Muse is able to get out, does have the Primal Rage available, so if he gets slumped again, he's able to get up, but wow. Arpen has just been caught out of position so often that the nano can't be laid down in order to keep him up.
I don't think the rafters is that out of position. It's a normal spot to be in, but Develop needs to just kind of peek the angle and go for it.
Yeah, no angle.
PANTHERA need to be able to make the play happen, and they have ultimates now. They're about to approach final fight situation if they go below 1 minute. EMP now from Nice is going to go on to Muse, and Muse does end up being able to pop the primal in time, so dies within the 1.5 seconds. And looks like Simple wasn't able to go for the save either. Could have been a lot of PokerFace members overlap on top of each other. Might not have been a good time for Simple to be able to find the correct target. And with that, 2 ticks should come on through. Should still be a contest. Look how close PokerFace are.
Muse can definitely come back into this one with the Primal Rage, but if Becky has anything to say about it, then this Pulse Bomb will be the nail in the coffin for this first point. Slay goes down after using the rally. The Pulse Bomb is not able to hit its mark. And PokerFace backs against the wall, stop PANTHERA from making any more progress on this point, and are able to come back in and save the day. 20 seconds left.
Well, they had really strong ultimates for sure. And now Hidden's just going to go and find this EMP. He can even say invis for the, I think, the remainder of the time here. Just wait another second for the 100 to come online. It's there. See where the focus is going to be. This time would be dangerous to go for Arpen. He's got Primal and there's a nano on board. Hidden would do a far better job going for the backline if he can find it. It's going to go to the front anyway. They want Arpen. He's already primal. He pre-primal that one. Staying desperately trying to stay alive, rather. Finally receives the nano, and that should be able to outlast. Muse can also roll up with the primal, so this is going to go the distance here. Both teams still got plenty of HP to play through. Valentine now with the only ultimate on board. And this is really die for time. No kills. Low HP on the PANTHERA side, and finally gets PANTHERA. It'll end up falling.
Even though that Pulse Bomb did miss its mark, it was enough to be able to zone Slay away from the point, pushing him into such an awkward position, and PokerFace get the full hold. PANTHERA only able to secure 88% of capture progress on that first point after some incredible first picks every single fight.
The only reason they got the 88.3 as well is because they did have a fight where they first picked Muse. I believe that might have, that came through from the Nice EMP when we saw that there wasn't a follow-up nano coming through from Simple to go for the save at that point. Muse even had the Primal, but he dies in the time of the EMP that was locking out his abilities. This was that opening kill Arpin. And then the follow-up kill on Arpin, as we'll see plenty of those coming on through. And this hack as well, and this is where I was surprised, you know, where Develop was. I think he just wasn't in LOS, but to finish on my point from earlier, the only reason they got the 88.2% is because of Muse dying, and would you believe that one Muse death is the only death on Pokerface on the whole defense?
I can believe it. Aiden and Simple have been so on point with these heals that Muse was able to keep the sustain up, and even in the final moments to be able to bully PANTHERA off of the point. You saw just how much space Muse was able to buy for the team, being able to pop the Primal, getting into a position to be able to receive the Nano from Simple, and then just keep up the defense. So great rotations coming through from Pokerface, and they're looking good. They're looking strong, and with the attack, they don't have too much to have to capture in order to bring us to a match point.
You know, I never talk about the pigeons, but it's the first time I've seen the pizza box on their face. And speaking of on the face, it'll be nice getting his face a little bit kicked in there by Valentine. That's a super fast kill. It's going to be a bit of a shame on the and by the way, PANTHERA already under pressure. They have to full hold this one. They have to get a full air hold. They're already down a member. Byron coming through from Simple, but his Muse is getting traded here, so Pokerbase likely having to back out.
Valentine is still going to keep up the pressure a little bit with the pulse pistols, but is able to back away in time before Arpen pops the bubble down and stops any healing coming through to be able to keep Valentine up. But Pokerface, only a matter of time before they start getting these ultimates online. And as Nace went down so early, Hidden to start walking away with a bit of a lead with the EMP charge. Might be able to get it online before Nice does.
It's a really important kill into Muse. I think if that doesn't happen, if they're looking at 45, it's going to get awkward. Pokerface had already begun touching point, not that they got a tick out of it. Started to put the pressure on. Speaking of which, Muse back on over towards the point. Pulling some PANTHERA members over. It's going to be Becky with first ultimate. Looking over towards Muse. Hacked out. I mean, this will be the moment they'll get him again, even without the pulse bomb. Might be able to say the pulse will send it out over to the support of Simple. No connection there, but they might still be able to get the supports anyway. Bubble placement is good, and Arpen's going to lock them out.
I would have liked to see Becky save that pulse bomb for a more critical engage coming through from Pokerface. After music gone down, you already were trying to funnel the supports into a tiny room and isolating them from being able to get saved by the rest of the team. Now it's going to be the shoe on the other foot. Valentine is the pulse bomb and is looking into a position to try to land that onto Nice or Becky.
They don't have support ults yet. We're waiting to see Develop come through on the Nano. They had the first EMP though, but not by a huge margin, so it's good, but Hidden can respond. That's an issue. Arpen having Primal over Muse is also really good, so good defense in terms of offense availability for PANTHERA. And, well, no Primal, no Nano from Simple, 96%. Muse is burned, and Pokerface have to go out.
Pokerface are getting pushed back, and a little bit of a dose of their own medicine that they dished out to PANTHERA. Constant first picks onto Muse has put PANTHERA in the driver's seat, but after expending that EMP, they need to be able to make sure that Slay is staying away from Hidden, who is trying to get back into a position to end the round here. A minute 30 left.
Hidden backs out, so he has to translocate away, reset up again. Meanwhile, Pokerface are burning ultimates. They are going through. Nano's already been put in. Riley was responded to on the opposite end. We're talking about Picky's pulse bomb. He actually finds another one here. Misses again, but they get sent out. It's going to be the EMP to Develop, and Develop's still alive. He's living at the moment. Needs to be able to send this Nano out, and Develop can do that. Then they've really done well to survive against the EMP. In fact, that's exactly what happens. Double support line still alive for PANTHERA. Develop's under pressure, but he's not going down. It's going to be Muse. Develop even finds a kill onto Muse while he's getting killed himself.
Well, Simple and Valentine picking up the pieces as Muse is going to be back in spawn, and they're going to start this capture progress as PANTHERA were busy trying to hunt down Hidden and Valentine in the back line. Muse is going to switch over to the Doomfist, make sure that he's back in the action before Nice is able to come in here. EMP not online just yet, and Pokerface are so close to capturing this point.
Here we go. Double catch on the EMP, Hidden down. Aiden still living through it. Muse now, he's anti, he's low, but they're surviving. They're living. Nano onto Aiden. Pokerface is standing this one. Doesn't look like PANTHERA can really hold on anymore. Develop, basically the final one alive here. Becky and Slay can't go for the touch any further, and it will be the completion of map number 2. Still in Pokerface's favor this time around. A lot more convincing, a lot more one-sided, and a lot quicker than what we saw in Busan.
I was still impressed with Panthera's defense, being able to survive the onslaught of ultimates coming through from Poker Face was incredibly impressive. I feel like that would have been an easy way to fold over any other team, and this constant picks onto Muse was able to keep that defense alive for Panthera. Nice work.
Panthera, they put up a good fight there. I mean, it was a bit of a moment where Panthera really staying in it, develop again on the backline, just not dying. Ironclad on the supports for Panthera, but yeah, not enough ability to stop Poker Face from eventually reaching point, having player advantage, having superior ultimates. Valentine, by the way, survives the entire map with 0 deaths. 8 final blows, 0 deaths, and Poker Face now 2-0 up. See if they can finish this one 3-0 after the break. Welcome back to potentially maybe a 3-0 here. It's looking a lot more convincing with Pokerface, given the full holds we saw on Midtown. Now Pokerface is sitting at a pretty 2-0 match point here, Rose, and PANTHERA, that was a struggle.
That was a huge struggle fire truck, if I've ever seen one. Just constantly getting picked first when Pokerface was on the defense. PANTHERA were never able to make a smooth transition over to the first point. And by the time they were able to do so, Pokerface just overwhelmed with ultimate economy. And then, you know, what can PANTHERA do in that situation? And when you're up against such a large clock for so little real estate to work with, it only felt like a matter of time before Pokerface were able to overwhelm 2 and grab the map win.
I mean, generally speaking, the defense was rock solid. That was what really sold it to me. I think if this goes a little bit further out, we go towards B, things start to open up a lot more. It's not clear that Pokerface would just completely roll PANTHERA over. And even the attacking side, I mean, Pokerface wasn't just a one attempt sort of situation. PANTHERA held on for a good couple minutes there, a good few minutes before Pokerface eventually got in and took over. So it really was the fact that RPen couldn't be kept alive on the attacking side. 8 deaths for RPen, sadly, to Muse's 5. A lot of pressure being put on the Winston.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about how Develop didn't always have a great sight line onto RPen to be able to actually land the Bionades or even land the Nano Boost to help keep RPen up to cycle through to the Primal Rage. And that did spell disaster for PANTHERA's attack push. And you know, I still think that their defense looked great, but Pokerface's attack just looked a little bit better. And a lot of that comes down to how coordinated this team looks as a whole. Valentine absolutely waking up on the Tracer, having one of the best games that we've seen from him in a long time. And Hidden also kind of picking up the slack a little bit for a bit of a lackluster performance coming through from that DPS lineup of Pokerface after they had lost Finale. And as we head over to Dorado, Pokerface on match point, and what is this now? I believe Muse is 1 win away from Big 100.
He's on 99. He is on 99, so looking for one more to close out 100. Otherwise, I'll have to wait till the next match, but could do it today, right now. This could be number 100 on Dorado itself. And speaking of things I like to see on Dorado, there is a possibility that the Echo does return. Dorado A, famously pretty good for Dorado. With Valentine and Becky, will likely be thinking about it. I think Becky's maybe more likely to move towards it. Also, given the fact that PANTHERA are probably more backs against the wall and thinking about pulling out something a bit more special to try and bring it back in their favor in terms of now being forced to reverse sweep.
We did see the Tracer and the Echo come out from PANTHERA on Downtown, which we also saw from Pokerface, but yeah, when you have to swap the Tracer around, do you feel confident in that? When Becky has still had a pretty good game on the Tracer, it all comes down to whether or not you do want to kind of risk it for the biscuit. But I would also expect to see that too.
Oh yeah.
PANTHERA want to bring out something special.
I know Becky. He's gonna do it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If he finds the opportunity.
That's also why I think like Neist as well is just a really solid DPS that has played a lot of stuff across the board. Neist, who has been very flexible, actually. He's had seasons where he's filled in as the hit scan, then another season where he's played like just more purely flex DPS, so he's played across the board in terms of the DPS role. Let's see what Pokerface respond with as they'll discover that Becky indeed is going to be on the Echo. They've hacked him out. Is anyone going to run back to spawn and change up yet at least?
Not gonna do it quite yet. Hidden's gonna stay on the Sombra for now. Additionally, when we see the Sombra, it can be a nice counter to the Echo if the Echo flies low enough for Hidden to be able to get the hack and ground it. But Valentine's gonna get bionaded pretty quickly. Pokerface are making a very steady push forward.
Slaying to fire. Need a bionade there from Simple, but does not go down. Payload moved up a lot though. That's a problem for PANTHERA. They did not do a good job of slowing down payload progress. Pokerface's real job and objective is to shove it into the archway, then start pressuring out the high ground. Muse gets away on just about 1 HP there. Jumps away from the range of the focusing beam. Becky, that could have probably been a kill. That would have been the first kill, by the way. No one's died yet. Speaking of which, here we go. First death online.
I mean, yeah, the payload is past the car wash at this point. Archway objective already captured, as PANTHERA are able to push back. Becky on a tear, already can have the duplicate online, and now we will see the payload start to walk back a little bit, but it's already in the courtyard. It's like by the fountain.
It got snuck in, yeah. As PokerFace were losing, Valentine snuck it in. It was either Valentine or Hidden, I believe it was Valentine. Snuck it in further, which is a very nice play to make when you know your team is losing. You can still just get more payload progress. Now double supports will get EMP. One of them will die instantly. News receives a nano to try and hunt down the last. No rally available yet. PANTHERA shouldn't really be able to survive this, but it looks like they actually are. As Devat respawns, can they get back to their own squad though? Because Slay is definitely way out of position at this rate.
I was gonna say,
get back out.
can they even get back to the point
Nice
at this point? Oh man, look at this though. Switching sides, PANTHERA is having a much harder time trying to approach this for a recontest as Develop goes down. That's the back line. Wow.
Maybe for the best, they're heading now into a few different frags and who's checking out a dead body. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. To be honest, I think PANTHERA were probably losing that fight, so ARPEN holding onto Primal, not a huge issue for me. But PANTHERA were, well, they were really beaten about in terms of where they were positioned. They were forced into the side courtyard, like a little bit further deeper in where we saw Slay, and that just gives PokerFace a chance to push payload, as Valentine already shoved payload into courtyard slightly earlier in the previous fight. Yeah, PANTHERA didn't really reach in time. Their defense was looking pretty rough to begin with though because of the EMP.
This is a much better look from PokerFace as Muse going back into peak form, laying aggressive on this Winston. Simple gets the snipe onto Becky as well, and this cart is already well past the halfway point of making it to that second objective. With Simple playing so far back as well, able to put the nano boost onto Muse, which is able to capture the high ground and push everybody off of it. PANTHERA have to fall low.
PANTHERA, okay, well, they'll be able to save Slay. All spawn from Nyso. Gonna take down Simple. Aiden did as well. PokerFace's attack should be rebuffed at this stage with PANTHERA holding on. You have to spend an extra nano for that, but it's a nano for Pulse trade. Both teams actually put in a nano into that fight, I believe. MP solely online for Hidden, as he's the only Sombra player, and he is still Hidden at this stage. Be able to... Oh, detected actually. That's really rough. Oh my goodness, he was in such a good spot as well. He would have had a double support EMP.
I know, that would have been so nice, but Slay was spy checking for that Sombra. If they've been tracking ults, then PANTHERA knows that Hidden has this EMP online. Can't fall victim to it. You see Develop playing pretty far back too, but Nice is gonna go ahead and rush right past him, and there you go. Hidden is able to land the mark onto both of the back lines.
Nobody's surviving. It's 3 members caught by the EMP. None of them will go down. Now the EMP's gone, and PokerFace yet to really arrive for the play up into the back line. Try and make things bad for PokerFace, and with that happening, Nice finds Hidden. PokerFace get nothing out of that play. It's a tragedy.
Oh, that's so rough. Especially when PANTHERA are going to have this respawn advantage being on the defense. PokerFace have to invest a lot in order to walk forward and try to get this payload moving again. That might require a bit more of an aggressive rally. Muse could jump in there too with the Primal Rage available, and Simple could work up to a nano, but they're stuck in the school right now. Now trying to move their way back over to the church.
PANTHERA definitely have, I think, better defensive ultimates in this room. But they have 4 ultimates
the bubble!
Also onto, I think that might have been onto Muse there, but he's got plenty of HP. The Primal was popped. Primal's being burned through. PokerFace are gonna have to be okay with the Primal being used just to save Muse's life, as the Nano will be the real entry tool. 2 Annas online for PANTHERA as Becky copies over. But if the development might not have to be used just yet, as PANTHERA not at all under pressure. In fact, it's Muse that probably dies here. It's a double burner. Both Develop and Becky throwing a Baronade, and Muse and Simple all caught in there. ARPEN just drops on top of the back line, and now PokerFace, it's down to 1 last fight, and they're hoping that no one, no late deaths. But as I say that, man, Muse, late death, that's gonna cost some time.
It's going to cost him a lot of time as he just has to respawn, and PokerFace have to get back into a nice position to actually get back to the card. It has walked so much closer towards that second checkpoint, but there's a long way to go for PokerFace to be able to overcome the obstacle of Panthera's defense. Arpen with the Primal as well can go ahead and jump on PokerFace before they end up approaching that point again. And this is looking bad. This is looking mighty bad for PokerFace to be able to get this over the line, except it's on point.
That gets caught as well, so it's 4v5 now. He's going to respawn before the OT, really important. So 5v5 again, rather 5v4 because of Aiden being taken out by Becky. Can PokerFace do anything? We saw Hidden clutch it with the EMP last time, but it's just going to be 3 alive here. No supports at all. 0 healing moves. Just can't do too much there. I mean, doesn't have any healing whatsoever. Double EMP on a Slayer Arpen. It's not likely to be doing anything at this stage. And just like we saw out of an earlier Hidden EMP, I mean, he'll catch the members, but there's just not going to be the damage. And this time there's not going to be damage or healing for PokerFace. A sour ending to the B push. Otherwise, it was looking like a reasonable attack. A was solid, B much less so.
And if PokerFace had been able to make it into the third point, it was looking really good from there too to carry on with the momentum, capitalizing off of a second point capture. But hats off to PANTHERA. They have been able to identify Muse as the primary initiator for the team, constantly putting focus on him, and what a nice illustration of why Echoes are going for the duplicate onto the Ana's. You get so much value from the utility of Ana's kit, and even just a bio nade can be a fight ender, and there it was.
It's just much harder to find nanos, or rather to find the extra duplicated ultimates these days with the nerf to the ult charge on that, so better to go for heroes that provide a lot of neutral ability. Now, what's funny about this is if this was done on the actual map during regulation time, it would probably be cheating. But you know what? The map hasn't started. You can do it in spawn, so we'll accept it.
I was gonna say, Florida Mayhem have something to say to you about that one. There's symmetric teleporter strap Maywall. yes it would. And Florida Mayhem found that out the hard way last season. But it is now map time. No more funny business from the Winstons, as it is going to be the Sombra Tracer once again from PokerFace and more of the Echo from Becky. Very strong component of that defense for PANTHERA.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, Echo, as much as like Echo's got an A, there's still a lot that Echo can do on the B point as well. I think if the back of B, or the open area of B towards the cap, it starts to get a little bit rough. And speaking of rough, it's a double bayonet catch from Simple. Put the pressure onto Becky and Arpen, but RG okay for now. PANTHERA are not too deterred by that situation.
Waiting for another anti-nade to come online from Simple to be able to land that onto PANTHERA and stop their push, but that must have gotten taken out there by Nice, sniffing that out, and we're in a similar situation as PokerFace's attack. PANTHERA already in the courtyard for the fountain.
Muse now, low HP, surviving, barely surviving. Simple wanted to kill at Muse, but Becky just arrives, AC 130 from the skies, and dropping all that damage straight down. Double support's gone. The cap coming through. That was swift. PANTHERA already got the cap.
Well, Avril, you wanted a map 4 or 5 out of this series, and the way that this is going and the pace that PANTHERA is setting, we might just get that. 5 minutes in the time bank for PANTHERA to push to the end of B, and they've already got a pulse bomb dupe, tons of ults coming online.
And PANTHERA already have positioning as well. It's not like they're starting clean on B. They already have forward presence. They're already solo free pushing payload, which PokerFace can't really do anything about at the moment. They need Valentine and Hidden to arrive there to prevent the payload push. PANTHERA have early ultimates too. They have ultimates earlier than PokerFace. Remember, we haven't had an ultimate fight just yet. All of A was done on the neutral. Also barely misses. Valentine would have loved to hit that. With that, Valentine dies for it. He doesn't get the pulse from, and he dies.
And Muse is sleeping on the job after the Primal Rage has been popped. Way in enemy territory as he's behind the backline of PANTHERA. Becky does get the duplicate, and it's gonna dupe the Winston for extra sustain as Arpen gets the nano.
What's the backline? Forces the rally. That's good enough of his job. Now Becky has to stay alive. Actually managed to find the primal. You know, I was saying a little bit earlier, maybe it's getting hard to find the duplicated ultimate, but Becky will get in that sort of situation. The cleave damage from duplicated Winston coming enough. But as I mentioned as well, PANTHERA have more ultimates, generally speaking. Who's already lost the Primal a little bit earlier. EMP, it's good from head, it's on 4, but Hill is all this time, Rose. It's a big EMP, but just not enough damage, not enough plays alive. Pokerface, I don't think they can even really touch it. It's a free cap, it's a free map. PANTHERA, keep it alive.
PANTHERA end up adding another escort map win to their pretty abysmal bank. They were 1-5 entering into this map of Dorado, and deliver yet another blow to Pokerface. Still unable to get a win on an escort map this stage.
0-7 now.
That's bad. That's bad.
They're like Shanghai, who haven't been able to take a control until, I think, last week.
Yeah.
But now it's Pokerface never won an escort so far, and they've only played one stage. Just be there one stage. They can, well, they'll go to knockouts, so everyone gets to go to knockouts at least. But at the moment, if we want to see Muse take as the 100th map win, it's going to have to wait a little bit longer because PANTHERA are slowing that journey down. We'll see by how much, though, because map 4 still up and coming. I believe it's going to be Colosseo. We'll see how that goes after this break. Things are heating up here for map number 4 as PANTHERA hit back really hard in Dorado. That was a brilliant map coming through. Becky on the Echo especially was a big factor for that map one.
It really was. Becky looked untouchable, and even looking at the highlight reel before we entered into the break, Becky showed so many primary examples of how self-sustainable that Echo is and how much trouble it really was giving to Poker Face. The fact that the Sombra wasn't enough should give Poker Face a little bit of thought on how they might want to handle another Becky Echo coming out on any of these future maps.
Probably not expecting it for Colosseo. We had a little bit of a discussion off camera about the possibility of a Hanzo again. I think Colosseo is a potential for the Hanzo to come on through. But also, you'd have to sacrifice the Sombra, and Sombra's also really good on this map, so that's looking like more of the same, I think, for Colosseo, in my opinion. If we make it to Ilios, that's when we get back over towards the Echo again, and if we do make it to Ilios, I'm starting to favor PANTHERA at that rate, because it's a very good map for Becky to come through and carry once more. And momentum going the way of PANTHERA as well. It would have to be Poker Face kind of dropping the ball for Colosseo, though. Largely, if we look at Midtown, that was a super one-sided map, more one-sided than even Dorado, but Dorado was such a good win for PANTHERA.
Yeah, it was, and that was even when they weren't running that Tracer Echo. But even calling back to earlier on in the series where we watched downtown of Busan, we saw the Tracer Echo come out from Hidden in Valentine, and at that point too, PANTHERA were able to walk away with 0 to 100. What a huge comeback when Becky also came out of the gates with the Echo too. So Echo's definitely a powerhouse in Becky's wheelhouse, and something that Poker Face are going to have to be cognizant of. But I agree with you, it should be more of the Sombra Tracer from both of these teams.
Nice, he's thinking about Hanzo. He's thinking about it.
Yeah. Hey, why not? The sightlines are good for Hanzo.
He has fully thought, and he's thought, let's do it. So, they're going to be the team that will do the most off-meta stuff today. We'll try and be the team to win off that as well. Like I said, reverse sweep on board now as a potential. And I would actually favor PANTHERA for Ilios as well, so it's looking good for PANTHERA if they can actually take away Colosseo. Neutral play here, very strong for PANTHERA. I actually like the Hanzo specifically for this area of the map. This is where Hanzo is actually strong, especially given the early damage onto him. What a good amount of accuracy coming through from Develop.
Oh, the nade kind of misses its mark there onto Nice. You saw the bubble go down from Muse to also block off a ton of that healing that Develop would have been able to put down, but it doesn't matter. PANTHERA in the neutral are starting to win out, despite the fact that Nice gets hacked. They're all ready to get some progress on this push bot, and Nice in a nice position once again to work with the straightaway.
A lot of work done by Develop there as well, keeping his players up early. Shots on the Nice to keep him alive, shots on the hidden to push him away as a Sombra. And then beyond that, landing constant bio nades. Another one to Muse here. Poker Face will lose the early 20 meters. Small lead there for PANTHERA, and small lead in terms of ultimates as well. Maybe a little bit of a bigger lead for Becky over Valentine. Also unlikely to end up onto Muse at this stage. He's the one that's furthest forward. Waiting to see Develop pull through the nano boost as well. He's ahead.
Nano boost could absolutely come through, especially when Arpen is also very close to the primal. Slay to the rally. A ton of sustain for PANTHERA to work with heading into this next engagement. And with Hidden down as well, go ahead and throw the nano out onto Nice. Develop goes down, but it might be okay if PANTHERA can overwhelm with DPS.
Develop is down. Rally now to come through with Slay. 50% ahead of Aiden, by the way. Aiden's been having a bit of a rough one. I believe he actually died. Yeah, he's really died in this map so far, and Slay hasn't. PANTHERA should be winning this one, even if Arpen taking some damage. He's high on the HP, or high rather on the ult charge for the Primal. Have to use the Primal, but we'll be able to successfully confirm the fight on that Primal. Should be too much more effort now for PANTHERA to get through.
Couldn't confirm the kill onto Aiden with the Primal. Simple, able to keep him up and alive as PANTHERA do start to make progress once again. And as they approach this bridge, this is where PANTHERA also need to continue to overwhelm. But Hidden with the EMP is in a nice position to be able to land that down on PANTHERA as they start to cross over this pass.
Becky wants this so badly, but while the 1v1 of the Tracer is happening, Symbol takes an up, and a little bit of help from Hidden's EMP as well. Gonna sum around, given there's no primal, no Nano to save Arpen, it will just be a clean frag. Becky finally finds Valentine though, so we get the answer that earlier 1v1. Becky will win it. It's gonna be enough. Slight 4v4 here as we wait for the Tracer to return. Nice with the 1 HP there, by the way.
Saw a little bit of the punch come through, try to reset so that you can get some healing down. As the Dragon Strike picking up Aiden there. Kind of a rare sight to see a Dragon Strike actually get a pick, especially when you have
Lost the
a
rally
ton
as well.
of, like just pillars to hide it behind, and that's a huge ultimate off the board for Aiden to not have moving into this next fight.
Simple manages to, speaking of pillars, hide behind one briefly enough to stay alive. So Pokeface don't have to wait for 2 supports here, just the 1 for Aiden to return, and that will happen now. Speaking of Nanos, Develop and Simple about to have 1 each. I think Develop actually might be ahead by 1, but I've lost count at this stage. Slay is definitely ahead by 1 rally. Aiden's been behind on the rally charge for this entire map so far. Has been a bit of a struggle. So double supports online for PANTHERA. They should be able to hold for a decent while here. They're ahead by about 30 meters at this stage. Develop is hacked out. He's okay. Oh no, he's not okay. I lied.
That's a rough one. Losing your Ana here and taking the nano boost off the board could spell disaster for PANTHERA, as Pokerface are now getting even closer to trying to match that progress that PANTHERA has made on their side of this map. Hidden also working up to an EMP, not too far away if Muse can stay up and active. That could buy enough time for Hidden to be able to land that EMP and also get the lead. But Muse has to back away. It's a little too low to be able to stay alive.
That's the thing. Muse jumps backwards twice, just ends up taking too much damage. They're doing a good job of keeping Muse under weather at the moment. Still, though, Hidden needs a bit more time to build this EMP. It will be available now. So you find the back line, though, because at this stage, Hidden has to know Development has an auto boost available. You see Hidden, he's still rotating, so this is slow for Pokerface. They don't have their plays in the correct position. I mean, Nice is even expecting that the EMP is going to come through from that direction. Pops down the Sonic Arrow. We actually saw Hidden trying to get backwards. They want Arpen. They got Arpen.
Ooh, but Becky got Valentine, winning out that Tracer versus Tracer takes the Pulse Bomb off the board. And with Becky still able to hunt around in the back line, this is going to be Pokerface trying to back off just a little bit, play a little bit more patiently until Simple can get the nano onto Muse. But Nice going down, that is a huge chunk of DPS off the board for PANTHERA, as they're going to have to back away, wait for reinforcements. Arpen's posturing for position, though, as Nice tries to come back on the Sombra.
Yep, it's going to be a pure mirror now. Double Baronet landed again. Pretty well played by Develop. Simple and Aiden still being kept alive by the extra rally green HP, but Muse not going to receive enough of it. Instantly the kill from Nice. Swaps over to the Sombra, hack onto the Winston, double Winston's down. Both Sombras getting on the action there. A little bit rough for Arthur, considering he did also have the final rage available, but Becky's still alive to clean up. Becky's been the better Tracer so far on this map, beating Valentine in a number of different 1v1s. PANTHERA, they're going to have payload control. At minimum, they're not going to allow Pokerface to push.
Pokerface has been holding on to this Pulse Bomb as well. Valentine just not able to find an opportunity to throw that at the back line. And Becky's going to be able to pull the trigger first. Huge stick onto Aiden. Yep. Aiden now unable to throw those cookies over to Valentine or Hidden to help out with their 1v1s as Slay also pumps the rally. Investment here from PANTHERA is good. They're going to be able to start walking away with picks.
He just had to hold on to Prime, though. He knows he has to save it for what could be the most important fight here on the actual cap itself. And with the push happening, Hidden also gets caught by Arpen. So I think the Translocator must have been gone as well, or that's where the Translocator actually was. So in the case, player down. Arpen, he receives the Pulse Bomb, but he'll just climb to survive. Threatening the cap now. Dangerous scenario for Pokerface. EMP's about to be online, but it's Nice that holds on to 97. Onto the back line. Instant kill. The double supports is Develop even getting himself into the play. PANTHERA for sure should be getting this cap.
Oh, Nice was in such a good position to be able to pop that EMP with immediate follow-up. And that is the point capture. Nobody from Pokerface can come into touch. Even if Hidden wanted to try to throw his body on the point, that's not enough sustain. PANTHERA already going to unlock those forward spawns as Hidden hits the EMP, takes down Develop, and that is a way for Pokerface to get back in this one. But we're starting to run out of time, Avril. 2 minutes 20.
PANTHERA had to back out here as well. Slay especially, who at this stage wants to keep his perfect scoreline alive. Both Becky and Slay haven't died yet, which is more impressive for the support given to Brig. zero death brig
Disgusting.
this late into the game. 8 minutes into Colosseo, zero brig death.
That's
And,
wild.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. Shows how good a job PANTHERA has done to sort of keep their supports alive and prevent the dive from Valentine and Hidden from getting too much done.
Velop has the nano boost as well, and as Slay gets hacked, still able to stay alive because of the investment of the nano. So that is going to be another deathless attack as PANTHERA withstand the onslaught. As Pokerface now gonna use the nano of their own over to Muse. Oh, as I say it, the caster curse comes through. Becky, oh no. They both do it at the same time.
They do, so no perfect runs here. Not Becky, not Slay. None of them were going to have a perfect zero death map. Still, though, just a wonder. Becky dies to his own pulse bomb, which I don't know if that's better or worse. It's not amazing in either case. It's Pokerface, though. Their opportunity to be able to even this one up. They might be able to get the cap here. As 5 players alive, they have the rally. It's going to be matched on the opposite end, but the payload is currently gone. Arpen is taking the payload away, and Pokerface reset. Last minute here, and it's still close enough that Pokerface can win.
They can win, but Nice has the EMP online. A great way to be able to shut down the back line. If Aiden's not able to stay out of the line of sight of the EMP, then you have the ability to pop the rally, but PANTHERA still posturing for position in the neutral. There's the EMP, and a huge just hack onto Muse, takes him out. Aiden also not able to use the rally just yet, and also why would you? Pokerface doesn't want to lose anybody else here because we're sub 30 seconds. And, oh, Aiden's in danger.
It's a kill. That's first on the checklist, the long checklist here to try and get back to the game. Possibly late deaths here for PANTHERA. It's a good chase by Pokerface is what they need. They need to push the payload while chasing members down. It looks like PANTHERA are going to just delay the payload until the OT. They're not leaving yet either. They're sort of semi-contesting, or at least Arpen was. Now there's a few late deaths. You have to consider the fact that because these players died in the OT, their respawns are going to be delayed. But Aiden did have to pop a rally there, otherwise things could have gone really bad for Pokerface. There's a decent EMP coming through from Nice, followed by Fire from Develop as well. It's Pokerface's turn. They're the ones that hold on to these important ultimates, specifically the EMP. It is still actually possible for Pokerface to win this one, but it has to be hidden connecting big, and he's got it up and down.
That's huge here. Arpen can't use the Primal Rage to be able to sustain on this point long enough for Develop to be able to throw over the Nano. That's going to need to be used here, hopefully to get Slay up to a semblance of a rally. If Becky can land the Pulse Bomb, maybe PANTHERA can keep this contest alive, but it's been difficult for anybody to find a mark as Muse is forced to put the Primal down. Gets slept.
Simple.
And that's it.
Wait, who got it? PANTHERA got it. Oh my goodness.
The juggle.
I wasn't sure who got it at the end there. It wasn't clear. It was not clear who actually won the match.
That was
PANTHERA
not clear.
Managed to get it just in time. Simple died. Simple got knocked away. He still had Nano, but couldn't deploy it. My goodness, PANTHERA just barely clutched on through. That was an extremely tight map of Colosseo. Wow.
That was so close. Like, down to the absolute wire, where Pokerface were just one team fight away from being able to close out the series. But now the reverse sweep is very much on the cards. Pokerface, they're going to struggle on this one if PANTHERA are able to pull out the Echo, and the Becco is definitely here. I'm nervous.
I'm here for the Becco, and that's the thing, right? Because once you get the map in level 5, as I said earlier, it's Ilios, and you'd be worried if you're Pokerface. I'm favoring PANTHERA to take the reverse sweep here because Ilios is a damn good map for PANTHERA, rather, considering how good it is for Echo and Becky. He's been dominating the skies. We'll see if that ends up being true after this break. real game on our hands here. Possible reverse sweep on the cards. Map 5. Ilios about to come on your screens. PokerFace and PANTHERA, where PokerFace had a very clean lead 2-0 to start things out with a extremely convincing Midtown, super one-sided Midtown. But you get to map 3 onwards, something about Escort that PokerFace just can't deal with. And then what was an unbelievably competitive and well-rounded Colosseo to bring us now to map 5, Rose.
PokerFace looked in such a good position to be able to take that too, but at the end of the day, Arpen popped the Primal and is able to zone everybody off so that the overtime wick expired so quickly. And you called it before we went into the break. It's been the Becco that has been kind of the savior and hero of the day, and that's something that could absolutely come out on Ilios to confirm this reverse sweep.
I think it's likely. I think every single time it's been a reasonable good matchup, a good map for the Echo to come on through. Becky's locked it in, no hesitation. And every time he's locked it in, I think it's been a good look. Even on Busan, it was a good look as well. And I believe they actually won that round. In fact, yeah, that was the round they had a 99-0 start. And PokerFace nearly had a 0-99 comeback, but still ended up being a loss. It was the other rounds of Busan that ended up being a letdown for PANTHERA squad. So you got to be careful now. You got to be worried. Valentine has unfortunately not been as sharp on either the Echo or the Tracer. But we saw Becky on Colosseo just run down Valentine on that Tracer in those 1v1s, winning basically all of them. Becky ends 8-2 in terms of final blows to deaths on Colosseo. Valentine 5-5.
That is such a stark contrast and speaks volumes to how PANTHERA has really woken up in this match. Taking advantage of the times that Muse has been a little too far forward, isolating him, getting the nade, the sleep, the bubble down from Arpen to block off healing. There's been every cooldown under the sun invested into Muse going down, and it's paid off so many times over, whether it was on Midtown or Colosseo.
Yeah, there was a couple of gaps, I think, on Colosseo. It was also, by the way, a almost 50% better ult charge rate for Becky. 106 average versus 131 average for Valentine. Slay also had a way better rally ult charge numbers on 139 average to 214 average on Aiden. Aiden was struggling on that map. Partially, I would have said, because of the dives coming through from PANTHERA. But yeah, no surprise here. Becky locking it in.
You got to at this point, and now the onus is on PokerFace to figure out a way that they want to approach this. The hidden Sombra has been a way for PokerFace to try to keep that Echo in check from Becky, but also to no avail. It has not been the perfect stomping ground as Becky's able to play around the pillars. And how did PokerFace even approach this? Super tough.
Well is going to be one of those maps where it's not going to be as easy to get the hacks. Plenty of geometry for Becky to play around with. Especially this little windmill thing here. This tower in the middle is going to be rough, and already he's dropping down. He's trying to assassinate a player there. Didn't quite get the kill. The only hack onto Arpen as we just trade blows. It's PokerFace first on point. They're nearly at the cap, actually.
Not going to come through just yet, and I think no team actually going to be able to grab that. PokerFace gets a little bit closer, but as they step off the point, and PANTHERA do too, they want to try to confirm these kills before going back and grabbing that first capture. It's going to be a trade. Muse going down, though, does weaken the front line of PokerFace to try to initiate these dives onto the enemy team, despite the fact that Develop got hacked. Develop's still able to clap back. What?
Just outplay Simple. He's just straight up outplay Simple. Lands Bionade with Simple misses, and then snipes Simple down as well. My man's actually not playing that. He's still playing Widowmaker. He's doing a cosplay at the moment. And PANTHERA, they're all smurfing in this game. Becky late kill rather onto Valentine. Even the earlier trade, okay, Muse for Becky, you take that if you're PANTHERA. Way more valuable to kill Muse than it is to lose Becky.
You take that trade every day of the week, and that's where PANTHERA has been putting most of their resources. And if Muse goes down, then all of a sudden this dive is so disjointed that PokerFace are just not able to hold their own. Becky with a duplicate too. Watch if he's gonna hunt down any target in the back. It's just hidden. What?
That was from long range as well. Actually, I don't know if it was, because Hidden could have also been coming through the back. But either case, it is a death, possibly a second one here. Nice has gone hunting. Didn't miss the pole spawn. It doesn't matter because Arpen's here to assess. Arpen is just to make sure he doesn't die. Trusting the team healing. Look at that. Didn't even need the nano. Who received the duplicated nano from Becky instead?
Amazing. Becky should just throw it out there, and why not? And it's also not every single day that you see that Ana even get up to the nano boost. Becky's been able to charge up these ultimates so fast from the duplicate that is getting even more insurmountable value that Pokerface can't deal with. EMP though from Hidden has to be good.
Well, he's been spotted, so unfortunately not Hidden anymore. 5 ultimates on board for Pokerface, so that's not a good thing. It's good if you're winning, but if you're losing, it just means you haven't had a chance to use ultimates yet. Time is running out now. It's running slim because PANTHERA have been using ultimates and they're still on 4. Nice is rotated back onto another pulse. Arpen is bionated, but he's still nanoed up. He's still looking for a play. Oh, wait a minute. Muse the primal. Oh, no.
It just feels like Muse has been a picture frame too late to be able to pop the primal and save himself from these horrible situations. Whatever it was, Muse just simply not able to use it. And now Simple forced into a position where you've got to put the nano onto Aiden, and Hidden's already trying to shut everything down. But who else is there to follow up?
They're still alive, so there's still a secondary tank. Pop the rally, and that's a big tank on the back line now to the front lines instead. But they're not going to do it, though. They want to give it away. They'll pop it over to Pokerface to say, okay, be another 99-0 lead for us here. We've done this before. You won it before. Give some more ultimates online before they go on, and Becky to another duplicate. Develop onto the next nano boost. Well ahead of schedule in terms of where Pokerface are. It's just going to be the primal from Muse at sea. Long run back now for Pokerface to try and bring this one back. They nearly had on downtown, but I think this situation is even more difficult.
Well, you called out that Pokerface were holding on to their ultimates so long that it's no surprise that Develop is going to be outpacing Simple in this nano boost charge. As the rally comes through from Slay, the sustainability to get back onto the point as Muse's anti has to pop the primal. I cannot believe this, as Simple is just stuffed into a corner as Arpen is completely bullying the backline here. And Valentine uses the pulse bomb, gets Becky out of the duplicate, but it's too late. Pokerface are dead.
Yeah. I mean, that's a sad pulse bomb, unfortunately. Yeah, you got the duplicate out, but you didn't kill the Echo. Becky still lives, and he still ends up killing Valentine anyway. I mean, what an... so funny. Becky copies Vienna, and you just see him doing Ring Around the Rosie, chasing after Simple. Aiden tries to shield block, and Becky just runs past Aiden and just manages to get that nade in there, specifically onto Simple. And then Arpen just runs in and kills him as Simple's pacing back and forth, running over this health pack on the ground, but he can't heal because he's naded. That was just so good.
It's been so clean. PANTHERA has had everybody on the backline's number. And if you don't have the healing, well, you can't stay up either. But we are heading over to Lighthouse. Gonna try to invest a little bit more into a hit scan because, quite frankly, the Sombra isn't working. It has not been impressive enough to be able to be that counter into the Echo that Pokerface would have liked it to be. So try something different.
Well, I mean, even if you get the hack onto Becky, you need the follow-up line, and that's going to be part of the other issue as well. We've seen Hidden get good EMPs over the course of the series, and Dorado hits some really good EMPs, but team's either not alive or they're just not there to be able to do much about it. Becky, he knows who he wants. He's just going to go straight for his counter. Yeah, you want to play some hit scan this as Becky just arrives on scene behind Hidden. Had no idea he was there.
Catch these sticky bombs, head back to spawn. PANTHERA now gonna get firm control of this objective, and Pokerface have to run away. Bubble barely able to save Muse in that instance. God forbid he gets staggered in that case, as they have to start figuring out how they're gonna break this defensive hold here from PANTHERA, and this is fantastic architecture for them to work around with the Echo.
Look at Becky's ult charge. It's already got the dude essentially.
Disgusting.
That's just one fight, 80%. Now fight number 2, both Nice and Becky looking over towards the first ult as they're both outpacing the Annas. Hidden will at least stop Nice for now. Great sleep on Becky. Is that enough for a kill? Not quite, because he's got the duplicate ready to go. Can he do much with this though? Rally has been duplicated. They need to be able to try and get some frags here, but yeah, unfortunately no healing because Slay and Developer dead, and Arpen still going to pull through on the primal. They want to keep this one going. Point's gone, by the way, so all of this is just for the frags. They haven't been able to keep the point alive, which I think is a bit of a mistake.
Pokerface were able to get the point capture help from under PANTHERA as well in that engagement after Hidden had to receive full pocket from Simple. That also forced out the rally from Aiden too for Pokerface to hold on to this point. Valentine used the pulse bomb, That's a whiff and a miss. As PANTHERA now get a chance to step back up for the re-engage. And it's going to be off the back of Develop's Nano, looking for the perfect target for PANTHERA.
Comes Nano. Speaking of which, I actually was going to say, I think this is at least a better position for PokerFace. Defending and having your Ash already set up at an angle is good. With the Nano just coming on in and Becky diving. PokerFace start giving up some positioning. Muse is looking for targets. He's on point, defending it. Hidden should have probably have died there. Went to 1 HP is okay. He's going to have the Bob now available. And Bob is being sent out, probably close to the point. And PANTHERA not getting kills. They're struggling to actually find anybody from PANTHERA.
Well, Simple has just been putting full pocket into Hidden, and once again, Hidden is able to stay alive in these most crucial moments. Slay is going to pop the rally here as the situation's looking pretty dire for PANTHERA. You saw the jump in. Slay is trying to keep this recontest alive, and they get the point capture, but Arpen goes down, so how long can PANTHERA hold on to this point?
Oh, whip shot long range. Aiden finds that one to Becky. Hidden saw Becky fly past, but his teammate that actually gets the kill, so it's going to be a flip for PANTHERA, but short-lived. Extremely brief. PokerFace are looking much better now on this round, and again, especially now that the neutrals are rather in these sort of situations where you win a fight, PokerFace can start Hidden onto the high ground in the middle, have some better angles to work with. Smoking another Nano onto Becky. I think it says a lot. They want to get Becky in without any issues.
Nice defensive bio nade for Simple to be able to keep Hidden up once again, but Muse needed that healing even more, as Nice is able to follow up with another pull stick onto Hidden, and this at least is able to stop PokerFace from getting the full capture here, as we see that capture come through for PANTHERA. Still investments though, is Becky once again getting a Nano boost after duplicating the Ana. That has been so impressive.
And usually if you do get a duplicated Nano boost, it lasts for like 1 second and then it's gone. But Becky has managed to keep the dupe alive long enough and also get the duplicated ultimate quickly enough that Arpen gets to use the duplicated Nano for a reasonable amount of time. Healing itself is pretty decent. This time it is PANTHERA having to make a bit of a run back. Good stick. Arpen though, good staying alive by the developer just popping heals in.
But that is not going to be long-lived, as Arpen also will take down the back line. Simple goes down with the Nano boost, and that's going to be a really valuable ultimate to have, as Aiden now has to pop the rally as PANTHERA inch closer to being able to close out this round and close out the series. Valentine able to get the clap back onto Slay, but PokerFace still need to hold themselves in this game. Otherwise, the reverse sweep is going to come through.
Well, touch is confirmed. Arpen just managed to get it, will cost his life. Now Becky comes back on the Sombra. A little bit awkward in terms of this being a hero. It's not normal for Becky, but you got to do what you got to do. Develop on the Aiden is going to help out PANTHERA, but they just can't get more. It's still a 4 versus 3 plus Nano onto Valentine. Arpen now trying to come through onto anything. Diva, Doom, not enough heroes on the roster. And looks like it should be PokerFace. One last thing to confirm it. Put Slay on minimal HP. The Nano does save his life, and maybe the rally will extend this slightly. Oh! It's a 3 versus 3 now. Slay gets to. It's a rally plus a Nano. Super buffed up Slay might have just clutched this one. Oh my god, he's done it!
The raid boss! That's it! PANTHERA with that Nano rally are able to secure the reverse sweep over PokerFace. It was looking so good for them too. Avril, the Ash was working. PokerFace were so close to bringing this to Ruins, where they might have been able to also get the revenge.
I thought we were going to Ruins. I really thought we were going to Ruins. Muse thought we were going to Ruins. Like, he knows.
No
he's on 99.
way.
He was one map away from getting that 100. And PokerFace, they just barely messed up. Oh my goodness, that was so close. Slay just ray-bossed right at the end there. Develop as he dies, drops in the Nano, says, it's all on you now, son. Straight into the rally. It's a Nano rally, and that's a scary looking brick. It's 2 kills with the Nano rally. And then PokerFace just had no one alive.
Insane 5-map series between these two contenders teams on LAN. And after PANTHERA also having a pretty rough stage so far, hopefully this is a little bit of a confidence boost heading into the East knockouts, where PokerFace were trying to pick up the pieces. They brought Hidden into this roster to fill the hole that Finale left behind, moving over to the Vegas Eternal, and it was starting to look really good until the Becco showed up. And boy, did it show up in a big way. Avril, that was incredible.
And what a map pull for it as well. I mean, Ilios is definitely a map you want to see if you want to play some Echo. But Dorado is, I think, now become a quintessential Echo map. It was kind of teetering on becoming Echo map even earlier this year, but now it for sure is one. Even seeing the Echo early on Busan was a nice little surprise. Midtown was not a good look for the side of PANTHERA. That'll be needed to something that you have to fix up for a little bit later on, but starting to catch up now in terms of the standings because, well, PANTHERA, they go from 2-4 to 3-4, starting to head towards a .500 situation. I don't want to give all the points to Becky. This guy was a big part of the win. I said it early on. If we're going to go to map 5, you got to be scared if you're Poker Face, because I'm looking at Echo, and the man piloting the Echo is got to be this guy.
Becky's Echo was so impactful in this match, and you could see that with just the duplicates that Becky was able to get online. We got so much praise for how long the duplicate was able to stay alive, the fact that he was able to build up to several Ana nano boosts in that duplicate time that helped to either pepper up an ultimate to get it online for someone else to cycle through, like Primal Rage, or even just be able to sustain long enough for people to come back to point.
I mean, you know, this guy like forced Echo last year on the LA Valiant when Echo wasn't even really that good in meta. Now Echo is actually kind of good in the meta, and well, you give someone who was good enough to play Echo even when it wasn't an Echo meta an opportunity to play Echo in meta. I mean, that's just going to be a gigantic difference maker. As we move along the different maps, and okay, yeah, we didn't see anything on Midtown. No surprises there. I think PANTHERA would like to forget that map happened. But on Dorado, I remember seeing this in the highlights after map and just thinking, dude, it's so clean.
It was so good. I mean, PANTHERA looks so unstoppable with the Echo, and even not just the Echo, but we're seeing some great highlights from Becky's Tracer throughout the course of the match, and how many follow-ups Becky was able to get, whether it was just a pulse bomb stick or following up on a nade that developed had thrown over the rafters.
For sure. I remember the stat line on Colosseo was like, I believe 8 minutes into the map, he was still 0 deaths.
Yeah.
And he finishes, what did he finish on? He finished 8-2 as well. So at the end of the map, the last 2 minutes he died twice, but he finishes 8-2. This play was super funny. I remember this. Yeah, Becky duplicates and just runs it simple.
Oh my god. That was so good, just playing the ring around the rosy like you were saying, and I cannot wait to hear a little bit more from PANTHERA as we listen in to Unknown, the translation.
자, 인터뷰 준비가 됐네요. 손흥민 아나운서와 함께 인터뷰 만나보시죠.
2023 오버워치 리그 서머 스테이지 퀄리파이어 대망의 마지막 주차로 인사드립니다. 안녕하세요, 손혜민입니다.
Hello, this is Sonhemin,
오늘의 두
host of
번째
the
매치
interview.
포커페이스 대 판테라의 경기 함께 하셨는데요. 결국 판테라가 승리를 가져가게 되면서 무려 역수입으로 승리를 차지하게 되었습니다. 승리의 주역 POTM 베키
So
선수
PANTHERA
만나서
completed the
인터뷰 나눠보도록
reverse sweep
하겠습니다. 승리
3-2, and we have
축하드립니다.
Becky on the stage for the interview.
아, 네, 승리 소감 어떠신가요?
How do you feel?
일단 좀 극적으로 이겨서 기분 엄청 좋아요.
맞습니다.
I think this is
정말
as
역습으로
dramatic as it gets,
승으로
so it's
극적으로
pretty.
이기셨는데
It feels pretty good.
게다가 3연속 POTM입니다. 이거에 대해서는 어떻게 생각하시나요?
So this is your third Player of the Match award in a row. How do you feel about that?
당연한 결과라고 생각하고요.
아,
팀 받는 거는.
I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. I did a lot of good things in the past few matches, so getting the Player of the Match for me isn't so big of a surprise.
게요. 저희 오버워치 리그를 사랑하시는 분들이 이 선수들의 관계성에 대해서 굉장히 집중해 주시고는 하는데 같은 판테라의 알펜 선수와
네.
상대팀 히든 선수가 원래 같은 한솥밥을 먹다가 적으로 만나게 됐잖아요.
아 근데
네.
제가 그 전에
네.
알펜이랑 히든님 있을 때 판테라 때는 제가 없어가지고 같이 해본 적은 없어요.
So I wanted to ask you about Arpen and Hidden when you were all together on PANTHERA, but well, I wasn't. That was a different time version of PANTHERA, so I wasn't playing with them.
좀 그것 때문에라도 이기고 싶어 했던 것 같아요.
But then to kind of turn the question on to about the team vibe itself, like were there any some personal feelings because a lot of your teammates were going against former teammates? I think it kind of gave a little bit of extra motivation. Yes.
약간 진 것 같다는 생각이 들긴 했는데, 제가 손바닥을 바꿔오고 뭐 하다
네.
딱
So how do you?
힐러만
How can you explain the last few moments of the match?
그랬는데 이제 킬로가 올라오는 거 보니까 막 어떻게
I thought, to be honest, I thought we were gonna lose and go to ruins, but
약간 관찰자 입장이셨네요.
and I brought the Summer to touch, and then I got eliminated, and then I was like, okay, maybe it's over. But then I saw the kill feeds and the log, and I was like, oh, okay.
그때 그 순간만큼은 힐러 캐리가 아니었나라는 생각이 드는데 그 밖에는 정말 딜러들도 그렇고 탱커들도 그렇고 정말 좋은 모습 많이 보여주셨어요. 네. 그리고 저번에 경기였을 거예요. 베키 선수가 정말 아쉽게 패배를 하고 난 다음에 카메라에 너무
So
아쉬운
you had some
모습이
match losses that was
잠깐 포착이
pretty close.
되었었어요.
It must have been pretty tough. What helped you overcome those kind of difficult times?
성적이 좀 연습한 거에 비해서 잘 나오지는 않아가지고 좀 팀적으로도 약간 신뢰가 무너지는 일도 좀 발생하고 그런 게 좀 있다 보니까 좀 힘들긴 했었어요.
I think it definitely was a difficult time because we didn't put up the performances as much as we were in scrims, and then I think a little bit of faith was a little bit shaky amongst within the team. I think we had a long conversation after that. We had a team meeting after that, and we restored a lot of that, and I think it really showed in today's performance, which is definitely a good thing.
다가올 수 있는데 멘탈이 조금 무너지는 상황도 있을 법한데 그때 어떻게 극복을 하셨는지가 좀 궁금하네요.
So for you personally, how did you overcome those kind of difficulties both personally and as a team?
그런 거는 뭐 스트레스 푸는 일은 안 하는 것 같고 그냥 참으면서 다시 열심히 해야겠다 이런 생각만 하는 것 같아요.
I didn't really do anything in particular. I think I just kind of swallowed it up and just worked hard because hard work always pays
그런
off.
거랑 그냥 뭐 있는 거면 좀 잠 많이 자기?
Maybe if I just kind of cross out all the gaming stuff, maybe I slept a little more than usual. So that's kind of a little bit of alleviating the stress.
약간 뭔가 폐관 수련하는 그런 느낌이었나 봐요.
그런 느낌식으로 했죠.
So it was a little bit of, I guess, extra effort there.
퀄리파이어 일정이 거의 막바지가
I guess you can say
되었습니다.
that.
내일 이제 댈러스 퓨얼과의 내일이 아니죠. 일요일이군요. 일요일에 댈러스 퓨얼과의 경기를 마지막으로 퀄리파이어 일정이 끝나는데 혹시 노가웃에서 좀 다시 만나고
So you
싶은 팀이
conclude your
있을까요?
summer upstage qualifiers with the match against the Dallas Fuel next. Do you have any teams that you want to go against in the knockouts?
약간 그렇게 해주신다라고 말씀을 하셨습니다. 그럼 방금 말씀드린 댈러스 퓨얼과의 경기는 어떠실 것 같으세요?
So I mean, I guess
엄청
any
누가
team,
유리하다
but
이런
we just want to win in a 3-0 fashion.
둘다 반반 할 만한 싸움 그렇게.
And how do you think you'll go against the Dallas Fuel?
이런 뭔가 우리 베키 선수랑 얘기를 계속 나눠보니까
I definitely think we can go at least 50-50 with the Dallas Fuel, so it'll be an interesting match.
그런가요?
네.
인터뷰를 좀 재밌게 못하는 편이어가지고.
아니요 지금 팬분들을
I apologize because I don't think I'm a good
그러면
interviewee.
마지막으로 이제 현장 오프라인 경기이기 때문에 많은 분들도 현장에 와주셨고 이제 집에서 시청해주시는 분들도 있을 텐데 마지막으로
A lot of
그분들께
fans are here at
말씀해
LAN.
주시죠.
Do you have any messages to the fans?
항상 열심히 응원해 주셔서 너무 감사하고 방송도 많이 키겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Thank you for all your support, and I'll definitely stream a little bit more.
지금까지 베키 선수와 인터뷰
And that is the end of the
나눠봤습니다.
interview.
다시
Back to
진심으로
you.
승리 축하드립니다.
Awesome. Well, good to hear from Becky there. A well-deserved play of the match. I would have also said, by the way, just before we head on out, I want to give a quick shout out to Develop, who I think played an insane series as well.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think we could have seen Becky have nearly as much impact on the Echo if it weren't for Develop's setup with the Ana, the Bionades, the sleeps, everything in between, the pockets coming through. Develop played such a huge role in that match. And unfortunately, Pokerface now have to look at another match ahead of them. PANTHERA 2, Dallas Fuel coming up next for them as we have another Overwatch League match on the other side of this break.